goes back to the illusion of option. We think we have all of these options, right? The person in that note actually just said that dating is hard because people think there is someone better just one swipe away, right? So there, what are you gonna do about that? You have to play your game a little bit differently. We have to talk about that. What are you gonna? Because you don't. We can say it as a reason, but we need to come up with a solution. Because once we know that reason exists, then there's a possible solution to it, right? Because for every time there's a reason, this can only occupy so much, right? There's the other side of it behind you. You just have to kind of like turn around and change your strategies. Because whatever strategy you brought to the table, when that word that's coming from that word not existed in the first place, like social media, Instagram, apps like what do you call it? This app where you swipe left and right, right? What is it? Not Kindle. What's the name of it? What do you call it? Tinder, right? You see, I can't remember, right? And Tinder, I'm hearing is the least popular right now. There are many more others right out there, right? Right? If before there was Tinder, before there was social media, before like the way you operated during that time, you're gonna need some kind of adjustment because there weren't that many options, right? So now that there are so many options, even though they're illusions, they still kind of waste. That illusion is effective enough to waste your time and everyone's time. People are going to be hanging around 40, 45 before they get married. It's reality. So I'm going to flag that. But how? I'm going to flag that right there. So we got to come back to that. We have to come back to talking about how. It's a lot of work. I know. Are we doing a reality game show of finding a compatible mate? No. Even that one, I don't. Yeah, I don't like it. Anybody saw the Dr. Shala dating show on Instagram? I don't advise that. I don't advise that. That's like the obvious. Everyone is trying to do that right now. Definitely, you should not be doing anything that's obvious or predictable. Definitely don't want to be doing that. You know. So yes, so let's get through some of this material. So a swipe away will drop you as people are also realizing that they can be happy alone and are taking themselves out of the dating scene. How can they know that they can be happy alone if they haven't gone through time itself? The only person that can tell me that I stayed alone and I was happy all the way through. I mean, you have to be at least 70, 75 years old and you've been single for the most of your life. And you say, that's the best choice I've ever made. Once I see someone like that, then I can believe them. But you cannot be 34, 32 and then come to me and say, yeah, I think I'm happy alone. You're happy alone. Yes. Okay. Are you going to end up happy alone? That's a different ballgame entirely, right? What I'll tell you is that, again, as basic human needs, number 4, connection. Companionship, however way you want to shape it, form it, or the other, right? You want to celebrate with someone, right? At least children, majority of human beings, not everyone, okay? Majority of people are set up that way. They're socially conditioned that way. So because they're socially conditioned that way, when they don't accomplish it, they may say one or two things to themselves to make themselves feel better in the moment. But ultimately, your social conditioning wins, because you will have moments where you feel like, okay, right? But I still want to encourage people, like, if you're single, embrace being single. Wherever you are at any point in time, embrace it. If you're married, embrace it. Work on it. If you're single, there's a reason why you're single. There's probably things you need to work on, okay? But with that being said, you want a better result, you want to create better outcome. We can't use that as an excuse not to work on creating better outcome, right? And a lot of people are doing that. A lot of people are saying, I'm happy being single. And then again, it's like saying all the rich people in the world are terrible. If you keep saying things like that, you can't get rich because you can't align. Okay? So yes, so let's see here. I see your comments later. I'm coming to it. Let's see. Social media and the culture that surrounds it. Okay, so yes, but guess what we can't do? Social media is an environmental factor. We cannot blame the outcome, our results. You can't blame it on environmental factors to a large extent. Okay, if it's snowing outside and you're snowed in, yes, your boss will say yes, stay safe. You don't have to drive. Stay at home, right? But if every time you keep coming up with it's raining outside, it's sunny, it's like regular, like the conditions outside, the visibility, like if you keep coming up with it, you're gonna get fired, right? You really, for the most part, unless it's some kind of hurricane or something crazy that's unsafe, right? You really don't get to blame your results on environmental factors. Social media is one of those things. The only thing you can do with social media is learn how to navigate it. You can't say it is its fault. Okay? You can say, hey, it's a new environment. We got to learn how to move and navigate this new thing called social media. It gives people the illusion of options. Okay, well, you match somebody, immediately ask them out on a date. If you're a young lady and you don't believe, and the way you're socially conditioned, you don't ask people out on a date. If it's not asking for a coffee or something, or to get to see you, and it's not like it's out of town or something like that, don't waste your time, because it's probably not serious. It's probably looking for a hookup too, right? And it's probably, at the very minimum, he has no confidence, because confidence men will say, hey, when's a good time? What about tomorrow? What about we grab coffee tomorrow? They're very definitive and they will set a time. The longer you spend with the wrong person, the longer you spend away from the right person. That's a tip for you. Okay? But then they will complain that you're ghosting them. Well, again, when you have all of this illusion of options, you don't want to be wasting time. You want to be filtering for quality as fast as humanly possible. How do you do that? There's the quality of the first 2 or 3 sentences. Hey, I like what I saw on this profile. I like it. Okay, all right, good. When is a good time that we can get together? What about tomorrow? If they're not coming off that way, there's a good chance that you're just the one that liked them at this point, that you will get ghosted eventually. So you're like, well, it's okay. We can talk a little bit. What is wrong with it? You're right. There's no set rules. But again, if you notice that the same thing is creating itself, the result is happening all the time, then maybe it's time to adjust something. But again, when you have large numbers of options, right? What do you do with them? You know that you can't